Fantasy managers, hello and welcome back to the FPL Addicts podcast for Game Week 11. We've got our preview show today and we are, of course, sponsored by Bonus Bank. If you're new around here, please make sure you give the podcast or video some love with a like, rating or review as well as a subscription. But today we've got pretty much the whole panel. We're just missing the Reverend. He's off, cleansing people of their sins and doing what he does is 9 to 5. We've got Jack, we've got Ollie, Chaz and Reedy. Ollie, how are you feeling, mate? After the FPL Social on the weekend, you finally recovered?
Yeah, I'm bloody buzzing, mate. What an event that was. It was awesome, wasn't it? We had the event, went to watch some football, had a few drinks, watching Rovers get a win, mate. Now better.
I don't really think anyone cared about the Rovers.
The Rovers playing, Ollie.
Yeah.
Well, look. Honestly, on a serious note, right? What a weekend! Like, I'm going to get sentimental now because I feel like we might not get much chance, and I'll do it quickly. The fact that we've built something on this podcast to, allow us to fly to Sydney, great bunch of people, get them together on a panel, get to meet people off Twitter. Like, it's absolutely incredible that we got a chance to do what we did over the weekend, and I could not be happy with how it went. So, cheers to everyone involved.
Yeah, it was an absolutely brilliant weekend. We're going to be doing more, and we will talk about the FPL Social in a bit more depth a little bit later. But we are here to talk about Game Week 11. I know you would rather just talk about the FPL Social, Ollie, and not have to talk about actual FPL. I'll swing it to Chaz first. It was an interesting game week, wasn't it, Chaz? It's always going to be an interesting one when Erling Haaland doesn't pop up with his routine weekly hat trick. So, how did you think Game Week 11 as a whole sort of went, Chaz?
Well, before I get to the game week, good evening to all of you, except Reedy making his first appearance in 3 weeks. I've missed his singing videos, and also
I haven't been on for a while. To be fair, yeah.
Considered starting like a Saudi Arabian podcast. You're just full of calm and such poise when you're just doing the almighty introduction to this episode. I'm in awe of it. I really am. In terms of a game week, look, it wasn't too bad, but it was definitely a Joao Cancelo sort of game week. It reminded me of game week 18 of last season. I think the City boys did okay. If you had Phil Foden, you certainly had an excellent week too. It was one of those sorts of weeks. It was a really good opportunity to get ahead of the curve with some differentials. And if you went on certain sun, they paid off.
I definitely agree with you there. It wasn't necessarily the most routine game week. Some people did well, some people didn't. So we'll get on to the people who didn't now, and I will bring up the standings of the FPL Addicts podcast league so we can just see Morton Here's a Who, Oliver Walker-Peel, bottom of the league in 6th place. Ollie, how does that make you feel?
I'm just having a look at that table. That looks horrible, doesn't it? Bloody hell. 4.3 million. What happened? Like, where's my FPL managing ability gone? I mean, I didn't have much to start with, but all of it's gone out the window. Like, this looks horrendous.
You're going below the teams that don't even play.
Yeah,
I know.
That have been created and then just don't play anymore.
I don't know what's happened. Honestly, I need to change some things. Right, let's have a look at the positives. Kieran Trippier, absolutely class. Yeah, that's about it. Scroll down a bit, Elliot, as well, because
that's the biggest positive was that you left Martinelli on your bench. So can you just explain your thought process behind that one for us, please?
I thought Liverpool were going to bounce back, and I didn't think Martinelli was fixture proof yet. He's now proven that he is, and I will not be benching him again. Andreas Pereira also got himself on the score sheet, and he obviously gave away a pen as well. But yeah, 18 points left on my bench, I should say, sorry. And I think that's like half of my score that I got anyway. So yeah, I need to do some serious work. We joked off air that, I almost want to throw the towel in, sack myself, and give Elliot his 3-course meal at wherever he wants to go, some rich restaurant knowing him. But, I'm not going to do that. We're going to try and bounce back, but I doubt it at this point because that looks awful.
Get the violins out, boys. He's playing it down. He's only like 50 points off the trot. He's really fishing for it here. I can tell. He wants all the people in the live comments to go, "Oh no, Ollie, just keep going, bounce back." You were 100 points ahead of me at one point in the season, mate. So it's not all doom and gloom. And
And I remember that, and I remember thinking, "There's no way Elliott's going to catch me this season." I was like, bloody celebrating. I was Jose Mourinho running down the touchline, and yeah, now I'm feeling like Jose Mourinho at Tottenham and not winning anything. So that's the way my season's gone so far. And look, I'm not playing violins. I'm just saying that my season's going awfully, and I need to do a hell of a lot to turn it round.
Yeah, I think the man in the middle of your team there really just sums up your game week there, Ollie. Just a little bit gross all round, I think, is the best way to put it. Reedy, you are the man who is just in front of Ollie. You did a little bit better than him this week. You did manage to hit the average, so very well done to you. That's something that Ollie can't say that he's done. 58 points for you this week. Take us through your team.
Cheers, Al. It's nice to be back on the pod with the boys, reunited after FPL Social and so on. So, little well done to you boys on that one again. Well, I'm a busy man these days, in demand with clients. So, listen, it's difficult. But nonetheless, 58 points for me this game week. As you said, above the average, or bang on the average, I should say. Still got me a red arrow, which I wasn't too happy with, but it is what it is. And I got some decent points all around. Martinelli, I didn't bench him. And, Haaland. Captain's armband had to be on Haaland, obviously, with the Southampton fixture. But it was another Bournemouth almost, where everyone was expecting him to just, get a hat-trick or, do the business. And he got a goal, which was okay. Jesus and Tony ticking along with the 5-pointers, and De Bruyne as well.
Oh, there goes his internet. How spoiled are we in going? I'm so disappointed that Haaland only gets one goal. It's just like, he just got a goal, and then you just used to like hat tricks for him now, aren't you?
We've climatized to just expecting double-digit hauls from him every single week, because in another week you'd be like, oh yeah, captain got a goal, that's great. Your captain returned. But now this season with FPL, it's like Haaland's only scoring one. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so disappointed.
Sorry about that, boys.
Greedy.
Sorry, boys. Jumped out there, but yeah. So it was an okay week for me. Trippier's just the one of he's the best defender of the season so far. I think, obviously, other than Cancelo, but you expect that. But Kieran Trippier's been absolutely brilliant this year. So long may it continue. I think he's only blanked once, which was against Liverpool.
Really, your issue is
Wolves.
Really, your issue is you haven't taken hits in game week 10, and it's
you don't like it, do you, boys?
No.
Yeah, I mean, look at the position I'm in. I'm not exactly, 1 million, 100K, whatever you want to call it. So at the moment, I'm making slow progress after that horrific initial part initial start to the season. So yeah, I'm ticking along nicely. 58 keeps me going a bit, and then hopefully these next few game weeks I can make use of the transfers that I've managed to bag. So
yeah, it's been a very different Reedy this year, a bit more of a conservative, not playing all his
strange.
cards.
It feels so weird.
I know. I'm just expecting him every week to say taking a -8, boys, because if you were following along with the FPL Addicts last season, you definitely would have expected at least a net -32 of the season by now, I would say. Reedy.
I have taken one -8 though. I have done one -8 this year.
only one in 10 is not good enough, Reedy. Listen, if you don't start taking hits, you're not coming on the pod again.
I was going to say, that's what you bring to the podcast. That's the only reason you're here, is because you take the hits.
I've taken 2 -4s, and then the biggest one I've taken is a -8, which was in game week 8, and I got 67 points. And I think, is that the week I brought Trippier and Pope in, and it didn't really work, but I did okay still. So yeah, boys, I'm liking not taking hits. It's less nervous watching the games, trying to get points and stuff. The blood pressure stays down a little bit more, so it's nice. Look at Chaz's face.
Don't know what he's laughing at.
He's an happy lad, isn't he? But yeah,
he certainly is. He had a good weekend.
So yeah, 58 keeps me going, as I say. Game week 11 to come, and some good fixtures, and my team set up nicely. So yeah, cheers.
You just keep ticking along.
Have you got a good bus team or something? Is that's what it's called, isn't it? The bus.
Yeah, I'm sure we've used other words this year to call our teams when they're not performing and players and so on. But yeah, the bus team's looking okay with two free transfers in the bag, so it should be interesting.
I reckon you've got to take a couple of hits this week, mate. Prepare yourself for that blank game week 12.
Yeah, two free transfers, but I'll take another extra 2.
Yeah. Well, if they're there, you might as well use them, right? So yeah, good week from you, Reedy. Just hitting the average and ticking along quite nicely. I haven't been able to say this very often, but I actually did the best this week out of everyone. So I'm going to own it while I still can. That's what Jack's doing, top of the league. He's playing at large as he should be. He's raising the roof, as our man Lloyd Owusu would say. I got 72 points this week. I was very, very happy with that. Unfortunately, Newcastle couldn't keep a clean sheet, but it didn't really matter because Tony was the one who put the goal past Nick Pope. Trippier with the assist, obviously, and Cancelo, doing what João Cancelo really needs to be doing. He was getting goals and assists galore last season, and he always pops up with that, 15 to 20 point haul at some point in the season. He's a bonus points machine. So is Kieran Trippier. So they're two very good assets to have. Definitely two, I would say, essential defenders to have in your team so far this season. Mitchell and Nico Williams not really contributing anything. Williams was my auto sub, and unfortunately, he did block Andreas Pereira's points from coming off the bench for me. And then the midfield is where most of my points came from. I had De Bruyne, Martinelli, and Bowen. I'm really happy with the Bowen pick. I brought him in 3 game weeks ago, and from the 3 game weeks, he has got more points than James Maddison from this point. So I am quite happy with that because it was either going to be Bowen or Maddison, but Maddison was my transfer in this week. He obviously blanked, which was disappointing, but I think he's got a high ceiling for the next 5 game weeks. Leicester have got a lot of green fixtures and they need to start picking up some form. Otherwise, he is definitely going to be on his way to Newcastle in January, which I would love to have him in black and white stripes. And then Haaland as well as the captain managed to get me 12 points. I would love to say I wish I captained someone else, but no one's crazy enough to captain anyone else other than Haaland at the minute. And as Jack said before, don't get too greedy. A goal, 6 points will more than suffice for me as a return from my captain from this week. The game's just too easy when you can just stick the armband on Haaland every week. But yeah, 72 points for me, boys. I was pretty happy with that one. And obviously big 3 points for Newcastle as well. So it was a fairly good weekend all round for me. Chazza, you're somehow above me in the league. If you'd told me a month ago that you'd be sitting above me, and that because you and Ollie have just flipped, that's what's happened. Is you and Ollie have just switched places, and it's been like a matter of 3 or 4 game weeks. You did well this week as well, mate. 65 points for you. Take us through your team.
Well, what a genuine shame it was. I was never had the opportunity to talk about my 101 point game week 9 performance at the FPL Social, but that's okay. We'll talk about game week 10 instead. The 65. Yes, not a bad side. I think the main difference was João Cancelo. He was just a super trooper against Southampton, and just like many others, Trippier. It was more of a game week where whoever did have a high score just wasn't double points. It's clearly by what it says, but there was just players chalking up for goals and assists, not a lot of bonus points in. Zaha, the transfer in, contributed. James was surprisingly benched. Jesus got a scrappy assist. Andreas converted a goal for Fulham, and then a De Bruyne assists and a Haaland goal. So that's all 65. That's all for the game week, to be fair. Onwards and upwards to game week 11.
Yeah, they were sort of just all chipping in, weren't they? Doing their little bits of work. There was no crazy hauls other than Cancelo.
Yeah, that's all. It's like going on a construction site and you're not there to make a massive impact. Just do your bit and go home.
just doing the chippy work, and eventually the building will be I don't even know what I'm doing with this analogy, so I'm going to stop right now because that's absolutely rubbish. Mikey, unfortunately, can't be on the podcast with us today. As I said, he's off doing what he does best. Good thing, because he didn't have the best week in FPL this week. A little bit like you, Ollie. A little bit of a crap one from Mikey. 55 points he got. Somehow in mid-October of 2022, he is still starting Danny Ward in goal after 10 game weeks. He is still starting Ward. cannot believe it. He obviously didn't get a clean sheet because Leicester do not do that this season. James and Trent, who I believe Mikey has taken Trent out, but we will touch on transfers later, didn't do anything. Maddison blanked as well. But then the rest of the team, Trippier, Haaland, Tony, Jesus and Martinelli and Zaha as well, all did their fair share. And he was unlucky because Sterling was benched as well. So he did have quite a high ceiling for this week, but unfortunately nothing eventuated from it. But he is obviously doing a lot better than us. And he did take a hit this week, Reedy. So, maybe you're not taking the hits, but your English counterpart, the Rev, is doing the work for you. What do you make of that?
Yeah, my fellow Scousers, loving life, taking a few hits and making a few big moves that luckily didn't pay off. Sterling getting benched, and as well as that, he's keeping faith in what he likes to now call Lord Ward after his 8-point haul the other week. And long may that continue, because Leicester or Danny Ward is absolute toilet. So it's not very often he's going to keep many clean sheets or get any bonus points this year. So yeah, he's you know what though, you can say with the Chelsea stuff, anybody that's jumped on Chelsea assets have been really unlucky, because Potter has done a bit of magic, as they would say in Hogwarts, and decided to bench some of his best players recently. So the rotation from Chelsea is rife, and James looks like he's now injured. He's going to miss the next game, and then Sterling, as I say, as you said, was on the bench as well. So unlucky from the Rev. I'm sure he's made his move, as you've said. So I'm sure he's thinking about the next game week already. But we like to see the blue side and Merseyside do terrible, don't we? That's the way it should be.
If we could have it our way, I'd like to see both sides of Merseyside doing rubbish. But
I
would prefer to see the blue side do worse than the red side, if it's any consolation there, Reedy.
Okay.
I've just got a question to everyone here. You're speaking about Danny Ward and Leicester. Do we genuinely think that they're a shot to actually get relegated this season? Because I think if they offload players in January that want to leave, like Maddison, Tielemans, I genuinely think that they are a big threat of going down this season. They just look toothless and awful at the back.
I don't think they'll sell anyone in January. What I will say is that, before Chaz, I know, has got a point to make, that they're not looking to probably buy anyone. It's going to be on a free or on a loan or something like that, because of obviously the board making their intentions known to Rodgers pre-season. So I don't think anyone will go. I'll be very, very surprised if they leave in January. Go ahead, Chaz, mate.
Well, look, I'm not sure about relegation chances, but I know, look, they're pretty much doom and gloom in that football club if they've already blocked birthday announcements at their own stadium and have had to refund supporters some money, because as someone called Zach Rodgers, I had to cancel, and Brenda Newt. So I'm not sure what that says about a football club, but I think they're on their way down.
Too funny. Yeah,
no birthday shouts on the way down.
That's it now. They're down and out. The birthday shouts are gone.
Oh my!
Leicester are gone.
Clubs in the mud.
Has he got time until? Well, obviously, he's got these good fixtures coming up, right? Has he got time until the World Cup? Will he see them fixtures through, and then if they don't win these next 5 or whatever, he's gone? And then
I can't believe he's not been sacked.
He's got credit in the bank, though, hasn't he?
He shouldn't be sacked. Because let's be honest,
they won the FA Cup.
Do a good job.
And he's going to come in.
He's a good manager.
I'm not saying I think he should. I'm just saying I can't believe he's not, with the amount of hatred that Leicester fans are giving it and how disinterested I see they're looking at the minute. I just think that even if you're getting in, I don't know, I just think that it's very surprising that a manager like Scott Parker, Bruno Lage have been sacked, and Brendan Rodgers still has a job.
The difference with Scott Parker was he criticised his own players and said the squad wasn't good enough. He got sacked and Bournemouth did better. So they did. That's the thing. Rodgers didn't get backed. The board are fully aware of that. So to kind of then sack him wouldn't be fair. And I think he has pulled off a couple of results, albeit that one of them was Forest. Obviously, they battered them. But I think in Rodgers, he's a good manager. He knows the game well. He's been under Mourinho. And I think if he's given enough money, he can win things. He's shown that he can win things. So
I think the question is, are the FPL assets in Leicester better with Rodgers or without him now? So then you go, because obviously from an FPL point of view, we want Maddison to fire, we want Vardy to fire, You want clean sheets. You want the fullbacks who like Justin, who was amazing the other season. Castagna as well. Even Johnny Evans was getting great points, wasn't he, at one point? But yeah, is that going to help us FPL managers? Because you want to be looking for these picks, don't you, when you want this variety in range? So over the next 5 games, apart from the City fixture, can Maddison and the likes of Vardy, step up so we can have a look at the assets and bring them in and help us get up the winning league or, keep me top?
Well, we'll get onto that now, but I just want to say, it's got to be scary for Leicester, though, when they're seeing Bournemouth actually picking up points now and getting results, I think, so fingers crossed that, for their sake and for Maddison's sake, he can get a little bit of form going, and he's really the shining light of that Leicester team at the minute. And as Jack said, for all the FPL managers, we'd love to have Leicester assets in our team, so if they can get a little bit more secure, especially defensively, because they just leak goals for fun, then it would be absolutely brilliant. But Jack, I'm not going to speak any longer. I'm just going to let you take us through your team. You also took a hit, but you got 68 points this week. Take us through it.
Get on the good stuff. Top of the league, lads. Where is this competition going with this podcast mini league? Like, need a bit of competition. Reedy, take more hits. Have a gamble, mate. Come on.
Well done, mate. Fair play. I mean, you got 64, which was only 6 points more than me.
Yeah,
which was only 6 points more.
Listen, so. I think the moves this week. Bowen came in. Cresswell, obviously, that clean sheet went to shite after the Andreas goal went in. Cancelo, obviously, class in there, as we know, as we've mentioned. Trips, Maddison, not doing much in there. Zaha, happy days. I'm happy with the front 3 as well. Nice, with Haaland, Kane, and Tony all getting on the score sheet. So, listen, it's good score, good result. I'm happy with this team going into obviously next week, which we'll touch on in the preview. But it's listen, I'm enjoying my time at the top. Not gonna lie, I know it won't last forever, but I'll enjoy it while I'm up there, especially above Reedy.
All good.
That's all that matters, isn't it? That's all that matters.
See him hanging that rod out there, just
dangling the carrot.
Right, just didn't leave. But listen, it's good in there. I'm flying the flag for the FPL Addicts, lads. I'm carrying you for this season so far. Chaz is on his way up, which I'm excited about because he's.
I think Elliot's left.
Elliot's Elliot's gone as well. There he is. He had to bail. Gareth.
I couldn't listen to Jack talk about how well he's doing.
But at the end of the day, if you can't brag, if you can't brag while you're at the top and gloat and whatnot, when can you? So let him have his moment.
That's the glory of it.
Listen, the Reverend put that green screen on week 1 on his debut on week 2. So in game week 2, put the green screen on top of the league and started dancing around on here.
He did.
I mean, he is only 20 points behind, so I mean, it's not that big of a gap. I mean, it's only 40 points. It can
swing around very easily, can't it? We know that, don't we? So it is what it is. But we'll enjoy it while we're up there. But yeah, it was good watching the games live as well. The 1 a.m. games, even though I was smashing tequilas at the same time, it was I was catching some of the scores as they came in. But it was pretty much spread across. But yeah, enjoyed it, and it was a good week, good game week.
Yeah, it was a special weekend. We can have a little bit more talk about it now because I think it does deserve the airtime because it was, as Ollie was saying before, it was a really, really brilliant event. So I guess, we thanked everyone while we were there. We thanked everyone on social media, but we really can't thank everyone enough for, showing up and meeting everyone. And, it's always just nice to put the Twitter profiles and all that stuff to an actual face, instead of just seeing someone's graphic now. You actually see their face when they're on Twitter now, and I actually envision them saying what they're tweeting instead of it being, for all I know, some 90-year-old man out there that's just addicted to FPL. So it is really nice.
That's Reedy.
It's Reedy.
I completely missed that. I switched off for a minute, boys. Sorry.
Anyway,
I think you got the 18 to use Twitter, Jack. So anyway, moving on. We'll talk about Ollie. I'll go to you. We'll talk about Lloyd Owusu. What an absolute legend he was. Brentford hero, Hall of Famer. Raised the roof, didn't he, in those football challenges?
Brentford could have done with him at the weekend, couldn't they?
They definitely could, mate.
60, not 90 yet. But yeah, I lost Spike.
Tell you what, if Reedy looks like that at 60, then
I'll tell you what, all Spike's got to get to the next one though. As you were saying, Elle, obviously so many people came, so many Twitter handles, that we've met on Twitter online. Came to the FPL Social in Sydney. Great time, great to meet all these people. But the likes of Lloyd Owusu coming as a special guest, as Ollie's saying, they could have done with it. Imagine him and Tony up top.
Oh, unreal.
Battered about 10-0 if they were up top. Like just having him at the event, because we were talking, weren't we? The three of us, me, you, and Chaz, about we weren't sure what he was going to be like. Does he call himself Raise the Roof, or was that given to him by the fans? Is he going to be a decent bloke? And he was everything you could have asked for from a podcast host. Not only was he a great bloke, he gave his time. He took an interest in the event. He sat and chatted to us, did a little interview, and he just raised not only the profile of the event, but he also raised the mood as well. Which I don't have a bad word to say about Lloyd. I thought he was class and exactly what we could have hoped for and exactly what the event needed.
I think Charlie's his biggest fan. He was DMing him on Instagram. He was saying, "You're going to raise the roof, Lloyd." I think he said it to him about 20 times. So I think he must have thought that you were a bit mental, Chaz, to be honest. But what did you make of him? Some super fan.
I thought he was brilliant. Whatever Ollie said, I'll just pretty much repeat what he said there. Couldn't have said it any better. But yeah, so sometimes you got to make your presence felt before the event even starts. You got to give him a quick DM, introduce yourself, and then as soon as he got there, I'm like, "Payne, I know who this guy is." So
he to be fair, he was all over you. He was like Charlie boy. He was on.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, that's what I'm all about.
Good on you, Charlie. That was good. That to be fair,
he was absolutely brilliant. As Ollie said, he really just injected a lot of character and life into it. And if you haven't already checked out what he can do with the football at his feet, head over to the FPL Social YouTube channels and have a look at that, because we had our pro finisher, we had our pro-am challenges, all of them. It was absolutely brilliant and he was awesome. So go and check them out if you haven't already. I think that was probably my favorite part of the day, was the football challenges. It was all brilliant, football challenges, and actually going to watch the A-League game live was awesome. We got to see Nanny, didn't we, Jack? That was exciting.
So now I've seen him twice this season so far. Seen him in local in the southeast of Melbourne, now in Sydney. But what a stadium that is as well, and how good was it to be watching with all the content creators as well, like the likes of FPL Planner, SideNet. Pete was obviously a big Victory fan, so he was going absolutely mental from the FPL.
Getting some dirty looks, wasn't he, from around the stadium?
Getting some dodgy ones, just kept on to sit down. But it was great, to be fair, and obviously Quentin from FPL Amateurs of Oz. All these guys who have been supporting each other online and on podcasts, on streams, all jumped in, and it was so good to be just having a beer and a very expensive burger sat next to them as well. It was absolutely smashing it down with rain and the pit. But it was a great game, 3-2 in there as well. So Victory got the win with a last minute winner, and Nanny got an assist, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of beers deep in there as well. But yeah, it was so good, wasn't it? It was just good to be out and having beers and just socialising with everyone, as well as getting all the content topics out as well. And the likes of FPL Mavericks, Brookie from there as well. Chatbox, Ryan, Mike, FPL Leo. Is that how you say it? I keep forgetting how to say it.
I think it was FPL Leo. Was the way that he likes it to be pronounced.
Mike was great. He gave a lot of insight in there as well, and obviously the planner delivered back-to-back debates in there too, as well as the FPL Addicts, providing the goods on the preview pod and the CC Captain's Corner as well. So lots of stuff. Really wish you were there. Obviously, we know you were watching online as well, but we're all so proud to have hosted the event, and you can catch all that online as well on the FPL Social page. We've been resharing loads of it on Twitter and some recaps as well. So yeah, fantastic event.
It really was. Nah, neither. It should be absolutely brilliant. Ollie, we'll go back to the A-League game. You've written an article yourself on A-League Fantasy, haven't you? You're indulging into that this season. You're probably having a stinker in that as well, but what have you written your article about?
Mate, you're dead right. I had a shocker first week.
Who would have guessed that?
Top 41%, so about average again. One of the players I had, Leo Lacroix, scored an own goal and gave away the ball for the second goal. So Yeah, I had a shocker there. But yeah, all the articles are getting written up on kick360.com.au. You can go and find them. So if there are any A-League fantasy players out there, you can have a little bit of a read.
How many points did you get, Ollie?
I've not got that to hand, although that's partly because I don't want to. I think it was something like 59 points. It wasn't great. But look at me celebrating. It was above me on that. I know.
I got 68 points.
Yeah, well, look, right. Well, the new article's up this week. Basically, this week what I've done is I've taken a look at 3 players that should be on your watch list, 2 players that could be on the way out. But I enjoy watching the A-Leagues. I think it's a good league that no one really gives it any credit for. So to write articles on it and to do fantasies, a good bit of fun.
Well, at least you're better at writing articles than you are at managing fantasy teams, mate, because you're good at one thing and you stick to that, so you can write articles about it.
Yeah,
so that's really right. That's all that matters, mate. That's all that matters. But no, it was a brilliant weekend. Check out those articles. Chaz has got his hand up. I feel like a teacher. Go on, Chaz.
So I'm just looking on the state of play at the moment. So I hope you guys realise just one day there's going to be one week where Ollie absolutely batters the living daylights out of everyone in one game week, and he's just going to give it to us all because look how much he's copying right now.
That's all right.
That's all I'm going to say.
What, right. in a month of 29th of February, once every 4 years or something.
Yeah. Well, look, my right reply to that is I'm not going to be throwing shade at everybody when I have one good week, because I'm just going to be thinking, thank everything that exists for that. Thanks that I can just step out of mid-table mediocrity or bottom of the table mediocrity.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mid-table in the sense that there's 10 million players. I'm about 5 million. So if I can just get one good week very soon, just to shut up the critics for about 2 minutes, that'd be nice. That's all I want. Just one good week.
We'll give you that platform, mate. You've just got to deliver it.
I could just say, right, I've had one good week. I can just go back to being awful now.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. People that are...
I've really given up. What's going on? I've really given up.
People that aren't doing awful in our leagues, it's worth mentioning that we've got here. That's what I'm here for, mate. That's what I'm here to do. In our members manager of the week for game week 9 is Matt Mackey, and game week 10 is none other than Dave Wilson. So congratulations to those two. Absolutely brilliant. And then in our public league, Donald Breslin, 659 points on absolute fire, isn't he, Jack?
Yeah, got to give another shout out to FPL Dodie, as he's known on Twitter. He's been in our competition in our public leagues for he's his 3rd season now. And we finally met him at the FPL Social, just to drop that in again. But absolutely top guy, Man United fan as well, knows his FPL, doesn't listen to us for advice. He loves the banter.
He's smart. Yeah, he's smart.
He's smart and does the opposite. But yeah, he's absolutely killing it, and he's top of the public league, which is well deserved because he spends a lot of time on his FPL. So every credit and big shout out to you, Dodie.
Yeah, absolutely. It was brilliant to be there with him. And obviously experienced that weekend. It was awesome.
Got himself on the couch as well.
He did. He answered a couple of questions with Mira, didn't he? So he had some great responses to that. It was it's like chalk and cheese having Mira and Dodie on the couch sat next to Ollie, wasn't it? So that all the questions were definitely being aimed at those two and not at Ollie, because you've got to make the most of that. So as Jack said, it was awesome to finally meet him. And then in the women's league, we've got Alison Wonderland, who's managed by Mira, who is another member who I just said attended the FPL Social. She's smashing it as well this season. She's doing absolutely brilliantly. And then in our members head-to-head league, Donald Breslin sits top with 23 points, which is 4 points clear of second. So he is absolutely smashing it in every single realm of FPL at the moment. And fair play to him. Long may it continue. We've got our bonus bank probabilities for this week, boys. So before we get into our team selections for game week 11, just let bonus bank tinker a little bit of advice and statistics into your mind. As I say every week that the Rev's on, he loves his stats. We found out how much Planner loves his stats at the FPL Social, so it's definitely worth taking these probabilities into account. In terms of clean sheets, Tottenham are first this week with a 43% chance to keep a clean sheet against the Reverends Everton. In second, it's Wolves with a 41% chance to keep a clean sheet against Nottingham Forest. And then in third, it is Chelsea with a 38% chance of keeping a clean sheet against Aston Villa. So, there's not really too many that I'm looking at there. It's not like it's a Man City Southampton where you're looking like it's somewhat of a guaranteed clean sheet this week. I think it's going to be quite interesting of a week, the next 2 game weeks in FPL, but they are your clean sheet probabilities. And then the top 3 scoring probabilities. Mitrovic is there with 43% to score against Bournemouth. If he's going to be fit to play, he definitely can feast on that Cherries defence. I think that's definitely one to keep your eye on. Check out for the press conferences, see if he's going to be playing because he will run riot if he gets 90 minutes under his belt against Bournemouth. I think Harry Kane has a 45% chance to score against Everton. And then no surprise that Haaland, even when he's up against that Liverpool defence at the minute, Reedy, I don't know why it's not a 100% chance to score, 54% chance for Haaland to score. Do you fancy Van Dijk to keep him under wraps this weekend?
Fancy Canate to do a roundhouse kick on him, basically, just to stop him from scoring. Anything, basically, to stop the Nordic meat shield from penetrating any defences. We'll see. I mean, last night, we won't say too much because I know it was Rangers, but you give them a good spanking. Mo Salah with a hat-trick as well. So we'll wait and see. It's perfect for us to get that win and important for the team to get that win when we've got to play City because they're not going to take the foot off the gas. So we'll see what we can do with Haaland. Hopefully we keep him quiet.
Yeah, obviously it was a big win against Rangers, 7-1. Mohamed Salah back to his best, Reedy, is he?
Who knows? Who knows? But it's definitely, raising a few eyebrows and kind of making people wonder: is Salah actually finished this year or not? So, we'll just wait and see what the sort of most transferred in players and stuff does because we play in 12, City blank in 12. So no doubt people are going to look at Salah in.
They definitely are. And with those probabilities, obviously, if you want to check out the tool, make sure you're checking out the link tree down below. And there will be a link there which will show you how you can access the tool. But boys, we want to talk about the upcoming game week. We've talked about last week. We've talked about the FPL Social. We need to talk about this week. And there's a couple of discussion points that we have jotted down. Ollie, you were said in the WhatsApp group before that you wanted to talk about Liverpool as a discussion point and you gave no other context. So I'm going to let you just take this one away, mate.
Yeah, I did provide a little bit afterwards about what I meant by that, and it was literally what we talked about then with the 7-1. Now, is it worth, is Salah worth holding on to? Is there other options we can have a look at? It was Rangers, and let's face it, Rangers, people say they do all right in the Premier League. I'm not so sure, but 7-1 is a big scoreline. There's a lot of things to come out of it. Obviously, Bobby Firmino did well, Salah did well, Harvey Elliott got his first Champions League goal. Darwin
Núñez, mate.
And of course, everyone's favourite, probably the chant that's stuck in my head most this season, Darwin Núñez. Came from Benfica to the Big Reds, and he's back on the score sheet. So, yeah, there are a lot of Liverpool assets. And for me, the only one I now have is Salah. I've kept hold of Salah this whole time, and maybe that's been my downfall. But if I've got him this whole time, here's a bit of devil's advocate. Do I hold on to him for a couple more weeks, or do I still look at getting a move on? Because obviously Cancelo's another one that I don't have, and he's a player that I want probably for Game Week 13 when City are back in action. So is Salah the player I sacrifice, or do I look elsewhere with other players, given how well Salah's gone in the one game?
That is the question, mate. That is the question. It's difficult. Chaz has got his hand up again, so we'll go to you, student Chaz.
Have you finished your sentence, Elliot?
I wasn't going to say anything.
No. Finish your sentence and come back to me. Thank you.
I was going to say that Liverpool haven't been as awful in the Champions League as they have in the Premier League. So it's difficult, when you see they're getting rubbish results on the weekend and then midweek they're putting 7 past Rangers. It really does create a conundrum from a lot of FPL managers. And we've got a guy that's listening to Ollie's violins and his sorrows here. He's trying to make him feel a bit better. 5 million to 5k is about 90 odd points, Ollie. And as he's saying here, it's gettable even in the weeks up to the World Cup. So you've got to keep thinking positive. How does that one make you feel, Ollie? You got a couple of fans out there that are rooting for you?
Yeah, it's nice. There's got more fans listening into the podcast that are actually on the panel. So no, I'm only joking. But no, I reckon I'm a glass half full person. Just FPL has just been really taking the mic out of me this season. So yeah, I'm going to obviously believe that I can get myself not only. I don't think I'll get that high. Maybe
we believe in you, Ollie. Walk appeal.
as long as I can get off the bottom of the mini league, if I can get Chaz back where he belongs, then we can maybe we can set on positive. But I appreciate the kind words, mate. I appreciate the kind words. The one thing I do want to go to Chaz is I saw a stat this morning where it was like 50% of Liverpool's goals scored in all competitions have come against combined Rangers and Bournemouth. So that just tells you all you need to know about how bad Liverpool have been this season.
All right, calm down.
Still confused.
Calm down. Are you doing any good in Gaffer this year? That's what I want to know about.
I didn't make a team this year in Gaffer.
Oh, for God's sake! Oh, come on! You support Blackburn. You've got to at least back them in the fantasy games as well. You know.
Yeah, well, I would just perma-captain Brio Diaz every week and we'd be fine. But let's talk about relevant
bottom of the league.
Yeah, but yeah,
Chaz. Yeah, I was going to say you can say what you were going to say before now when you put your hand up so politely.
Thank you very much. Well, look, I have a couple of Liverpool comments saved to my captain's corner, so I won't say it at the moment, but there is actually one option I do like right now. And out of all of the options, I thought this guy was going to be the first one to be sold from their front line, but right now he's probably their most informed player, and that's Roberto Firmino. I genuinely reckon he's worth considering at this very stage. And he's got 6 goals and 3 assists in 5 Premier League games in his last 5, and he also scored this morning. So I think when you look at Salah's price, I think it's worth going elsewhere to, for example, a Kevin De Bruyne, maybe Son, but I also think the best candidate right now as a second premium slot is Harry Kane. And so Núñez, look, he's still trying to get a good amount of sustainable minutes each game, but I think Firmino's holding his spot per minute. So there's one.
Yeah, it's just going to be difficult, the fight between Núñez and Firmino. Did they play him as more of a number 10 this morning, Reedy, or did they start Núñez and Firmino in the same lineup?
Yeah. So basically, if I know it's a bit of a strange one to say that Firmino's been more of the creative player because obviously he's been scoring all the goals and so on. But there's no doubt he's still got that link up from midfield. I mean, the goal for Núñez was set up by Firmino. It was a lovely little bit of skill, and Núñez finished it really well into the corner. So I think it's a great shout to look at Firmino as an option. I would look at Firmino instead of Jota. He is cheaper than Jota. Obviously, Jota's been coming back and almost hasn't looked quite on it. We've got the hotel bell there that went off. I don't know what's going on, but I would say Firmino. I mean, he's in and around the box. He's obviously his link up play outside the 18 is really good as well. So I think if you're going to look at a Liverpool option outside of Salah, if you haven't already held on to him or got him like Ollie has, Firmino could be the one. And I hate saying that in a way because at the beginning of the season when I wrote a little thing about someone to avoid, it was Bobby Firmino. Myself as a Liverpool fan and many other, even FPL players and fans of other clubs, is basically just thought Firmino's career was kind of done and he was on the decline. But if we look at him this season, he's been our best player, arguably. Yeah. So
most points in fantasy for you, mate. 53 points, top of the leaderboard. Surprisingly, actually, Salah's got 45.
Yeah, for how bad he's been. Really, yeah, that is just goes to show. I mean, probably most of us still expect Salah to finish on 200 to 250 points for the season. All it takes is a good run of form, which Salah's more than capable of. It's just whether he can do it in the league. And I think if Klopp continues with this formation that he's been using, I think it's going to click. Albeit it was Rangers last night, but it is going to click. And I think that the more top players that you have in your squad that aren't getting the starts for your team, like with City, the hungrier they are really to impress and to actually perform. So I think that if we do see that formation come into fruition for Liverpool, you're going to have goals upon goals from all of these players that play in those attacking positions.
Yeah, I think we've got a hot tip from the Rev, who's managed to record a little something which is Liverpool relevant. So I think it's probably the best time in the show to play it now. So I'm going to swing over to the Rev, if it works for me.
Managers, hope you're doing well. It's me, FPL Rev from the FPL Addicts podcast. Sorry I can't be with you this morning. This week we've been asked for a little bit of a hot tip, and my hot tip this week is about prepping for game week 13. Last week it was about prepping for game week 12, where we're selling our Arsenal and our Man City assets. This week, keep an eye on Bobby Firmino. Keep an eye on Darwin Núñez. We always thought that they wouldn't be playing in the same team just because they both kind of played the same position. But Klopp seems to be putting a system together, particularly in Europe, where these two players seem to be playing quite well together. And they're cheap enough. They're not as expensive as Mo Salah, and they can still do some serious damage. Good luck, fancy managers.
What an absolute legend. Still wears his seatbelt even if he's not driving when he's in a parked car. So he's always safety first is the rev, and it's a good hot tip that he's given there.
Yeah, these hazards on as well because it was flash. It was breaking news. Hot tip coming through. Hazards on, seatbelt on. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think he presents a fair point, and we've just been talking about it as well. Firmino seems to be the man who's making all the good things happen for Liverpool at the minute, and he seems to be helping the side to get the best out of everyone. So I definitely think it is worth keeping your eye on him because he has been brilliant. I want to talk about the game week 12, boys. The blank game week for Man City and Arsenal. It's going to be difficult, I think. Because so many people have tripled up on City by now, and a lot of people have got double ups or triple ups of Arsenal as well. So, I'm looking
a raise of hands, Chaz. You'll be good at this. Raise of hands. Who's still got a triple up of City players? So four of us, apart from Ollie, because
Ollie doesn't have Cancelo, so I'd rather have Cancelo and have this issue than not. So
I've only got Haaland from City and Arsenal, which probably tells you all you need to know.
Well, that's good though. You're in a good position in terms of going into the blank.
No, Jesus. I've got Martinelli as well, actually. Because I benched him.
You'll bench him, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll bench him again. So I've got, and I've also got Nathan Patterson on my bench from Everton, who's not going to play. So then my 3 bench slots already locked up for the week. So I need to think about what I'm going to do, but I suppose that's a problem for another day. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
What are you thinking, L? Sorry.
I think that I will wait to see what's going to happen with Mitrovic this week. I don't want to get rid of De Bruyne this week, but if I am going to get rid of him, I think I will move off De Bruyne and Mitrovic and get Harry Kane. And then I think that'll give me like 7.5 million to work with in midfield to get someone else in. And hello, planner. Good to see you. I just think that I haven't had Harry Kane this season, and he's really flown under the radar. And he's got Everton, and I think Man United in his next 2. And I think, he loves a goal against Man United and he loves a goal against Everton, but
he's got your Newcastle in game week 13 as well.
And he does as well. And he loves a goal against everyone, does Harry Kane. But if there's a team that he likes scoring against, it's Newcastle. So I think him and Son are going to explode in game week 13. And I think you've probably got to have one of them for these next upcoming fixtures, I think. Because as we know, we were talking about it at the FPL Social, Kane has really flown under the radar this season. Only been one game week where he hasn't returned. There hasn't been too much discussion about him. And he's also, in a normal season, without Erling Haaland, he would be leading the Golden Boot race and, still on course to, get 30 odd goals a season. So he has been quality for Spurs so far. And I think, next 3 game weeks, I'm definitely looking to get him in. And I think I would advise pretty much everyone else trying to get him in.
He's only not returned in game week 1. All the rest of he's either scored or assisted.
Crazy. And honestly, I don't think there's been much talk about him at all. I think his ownership is like around, I want to say the 20s. Yeah, 20.1%.
20%, Elliot.
Crazy.
20%. How many weeks have I had to mention this guy?
Yeah,
now you guys finally talk about him. Hallelujah.
He came on my wildcard, to be fair, though. He's he's essential for me to come in on the wild card. I follow Chaz's advice.
That's why you're doing so well. Jack. Got to listen to Chaz. Got to listen to what he's telling you. But yeah, Chaz, you've backed him all season, haven't you?
Oh, backed him. But can I tell you what I haven't done? Put him in my own team.
Owned him. Yeah.
I was literally waiting for that. I was like, Chaz has not got him in his team, boys.
That's all right. Carry on.
You got to back yourself.
So, Chaz, do you think you're going to be backing your own advice in the next couple of weeks and getting him in, or do you think,
I think
you can go without him?
to wildcard in game week 13, and that's going to include a shift with the premiums in terms of formation. So I think he's coming in.
Your wild card, right?
Yeah.
Wow, keeping it close to the World Cup, aren't you?
You've been saving them for a rainy Melbourne day, haven't you, mate?
Well, that was today, Jack. So what does that tell you?
I'm ready for you to hit the wildcard button.
Wow, that's crazy.
Activated.
So, Chaz is flying and he's also got his wild card under his belt as well. So that is, double flying for Chaz. He's doing absolutely brilliant. So fair play to you, mate.
Elliot, how many times do I need to tell you? It's only been 2 game weeks. We've got to consolidate with another one. I wouldn't call that flying. It's just 2 good weeks.
It's all in the name, Elliot. Balls of steel. That's what Chaz has got.
That's an AFL pun, isn't it? I've just realised.
It is, yeah.
And Jack Steele, what a baller.
Yeah, rubbish sport. There's 3 of us on the podcast who probably couldn't care less, so we'll swiftly move on from that one. But we can keep talking about Harry Kane and how well Chaz is doing. But that's probably how I think I'm going to prepare for the blank game week. I definitely think you got to move off a couple of those assets, but definitely have a plan to get them back in. Just don't get rid of Haaland is pretty much my advice. Ollie was saying the same.
I've got 6. 3 for me.
Saliba, Martinelli,
Strikes again.
Saliba, Diaz, De Bruyne, Martinelli, Haaland, and Jesus for me.
You've got to take hits.
How are you going to get out of this?
Free hit? Have you got that still?
Who do you keep?
I
Who are you keeping?
I have got an injury. Basically, Trent and Patterson are also injured.
Oh my goodness!
We've got this game week to come, so obviously there could be maybe more injuries.
Get bounced back.
More hits.
The hitman.
You were saying about the hits. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think a little bit later on. Are we? Well, I'll say a little bit later on in 5 minutes or whatever it is.
Sure.
Are we covering any captain or transfer moves?
Oh, we
certainly will be. I was going to say, on an FPL podcast, talking about captains and transfers. Nah, that's not.
Yeah,
that's not what we do.
All right, it can wait. Let's just keep it.
Surprises.
I don't want to read everything. Yeah.
That's why we keep captain's corner till last, so that Chaz can inject some excitement into the.
I think we need to start doing that at the
podcast.
beginning, though. Just get him when he's riled up and he's ready. Just start doing it at the beginning.
What everyone tunes out straight after the good stuff.
That's what they're here for. That's what the viewers are here for at the end of the day.
Human fence for the last couple of weeks, have they?
Hey, whoa.
Just chilling.
The human fence. Brilliant.
Come on, Gonzo.
Anyway,
keep it quiet.
We will move on because we do need to get towards transfers and captain picks soon. But I just want to talk about the most transferred in players for this week. Phil Foden has now got 18% ownership and he's been transferred in by 454k people. Kieran Trippier with 53.9% ownership. If you're at the FPL Social, you'd know that he ticked over that 50% because it was Ollie's quiz question. And then Trossard has been transferred in by 278k people and now has 14.2k ownership. Most transferred out, we've got Trent, Diaz and Salah, so 3 Liverpool players. Trent, I'm not surprised because of his injury. Salah, I guess people were doing that before the Champions League. So I think, if you'd waited, seen that, you probably would have been reconsidering it. And then Diaz had a good start to the season. He's been all right for Liverpool, but he hasn't been doing too much in the world of FPL, so I'm not surprised that some people are moving off him now with the likes of Maddison and Zaha with a good form and fixtures ahead of them. Then in terms of injuries, Reece James getting injured this week was a real kick in the teeth for a lot of FPL managers. Went down, got brought off. Not good news for him. Jack, we haven't heard too much about it, but it's never nice to see Reece James get injured. He seems to get injured quite a bit these days, doesn't he?
1 second. What's his comment from Quentin? Quentin from the FPL Amateurs of Oz. He was at the FPL Social. He went to see Jack finally got dropped home from the taxi. Listen, it was an early morning taxi I think it was about 5:30, 6 a.m. The guy didn't speak English and it was very difficult to navigate on 1% battery that I had. So yeah, I did make it home, thank goodness. Just got in now, Q, but thanks for joining.
He had to walk from Sydney, but you made it.
Yeah, I made it. So was it about James, or Trent?
James.
About James. Yeah, listen, obviously I brought him in a couple of weeks, 2 game weeks ago on my wild card. And you feel like with Potter working his magic, it's going to start looking good when he got dropped up for game week 10, where we're at the Social, which was ridiculous. I think, Elliot, quote me if I'm wrong, right? But I'm pretty sure you went massive at FPL Social in front of everyone and when he was going to get a double-digit haul. Is that right?
No, I said that I transferred him out, so he was going to get.
Oh,
a
you
double bill.
transferred
So
him out.
I've
Sorry, right,
I've
okay, it's the way around.
1000 IQ'd this, and I've taken him out, and he's been benched, and he's going to be injured for next game week. So I am absolutely buzzing that Reece James has gone down injured this morning, but I know that a lot of people aren't, and I obviously wish him all the best. But I don't know how I've managed to escape that because it looks like he's not going to play this game week, and we haven't heard anything about it so far. But yeah, big injury, and it's going to affect a lot of teams, Jack, for sure.
Yeah, especially if you're in a position like Reedy, who's got 25 Arsenal, Man City assets, and you're trying to find a way out, and you've got James who gets injured. It's going to be a tough one to navigate. Plenty of hits being taken, maybe even a free hit chip being played early, panic. But I haven't heard any news myself, but it'd be interesting to see if he does.
He's out. He's out for this week,
he's
and
definitely
then
out,
potentially
definitely.
next week. Yeah, he'll
Okay.
miss this week. Probably next week as well, with it being knee related. But I'd be surprised if they risk him. And then it's United the weekend after, so probably be back that game.
Be back for them. So yeah, it's whether you can hold him or not. I'd quite like to hold him, but if you have to make that move, I've probably got that wiggle room to get him out and bring him back in again if needed.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of people just saying, right, I'll get rid of him just because they're going to need players for game week 12. So I'm not going to, at that premium price in defence. I don't think, when you're going to have 3 or 4, even 6, if you're Reedy, City and Arsenal assets sitting on your bench, you can't afford to be having Reece James there when he is definitely easier to get back into your team than a lot of other players. And another brilliant comment has just been made here. Jesus is on 4 yellows as well. So if he gets one in game week 11, he misses 12 and then he'll miss 13 as well. And Maddison is also on 4 yellows. So it's going to be interesting to see if those 2 boys can control their tempers for a little bit longer so they don't get suspended. Because if Jesus is, going to be out for the next 2 game weeks, that is going to be not very good for everyone else. So that is an important one to remember for everyone. And then some other injuries of note. We've got Mitrovic and Trent as well. I think with both of them, I think Trent, Reedy, if I'm not mistaken, is probably not going to play this week. Is he or next?
No, he's out for this week. I mean, they're saying 2 weeks. So, he could miss the West Ham game as well. Hopefully he'll be back. With it being an ankle injury, hopefully it wasn't too much of any damage really done, because Martinelli did catch him on that, and they can be nasty. So yeah, I expect him to miss this week's for certain. He's out, maybe back for West Ham, but a lot of people are going to probably sell him, to be honest. I don't blame them, especially with his form anyway. So it's a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah, some people would sell him, before Bournemouth at home that are sitting on the podcast. If they've got any brain cells, if you're Ollie Walker-Peel, you'd be getting rid of him before Bournemouth at home. So always got to fit that one in there when I can, mate, because that is easily top 3 worst moments of the season.
You don't mind?
You need a 20-minute segment with the Rev confessing your sins just for that one alone, I reckon.
It's time.
Get him in. He's got to. There's plenty of FPL sins you've had this season. Benching Martinelli, Trent out before Bournemouth at home. So I think you've got to be the next one to step into the confessions booth with the Reverend, mate, to be honest. I think you need a bit of cleansing. Yeah.
Maybe that'll help me bounce up the league. I don't know. Probably not.
Say a couple of prayers. Rev can fix you.
I don't even know if the power of the Rev could fix my FPL season, but maybe it's worth a shot, eh?
Anything's worth a shot, mate.
Not wrong.
Anything at this point is going to do you some good there. And then I want to talk
about I confessed all my sins of FPL suicide. And look where I am. Yep. Look at me now.
Yep. Don't know what Chaz did to fly up the league, to be honest, because he wasn't sitting there with the Rev, but he's singing Saliba with him 24/7. So maybe that's the trick. Chaz, do you reckon?
Saliba. Yes.
Oh, brilliant. I think we've got to mention Philip Billing, boys. We were talking about him at the social. If you watch the live stream, he is a differential pick at the minute. Some good fixtures for Bournemouth. Him and Solanke are doing the business for the Cherries at the moment. I think Ollie said that Billing was never going to return at all. Absolutely silly to pick him in your team. And then, of course, he scored a couple of goals in the past couple of weeks, so he's doing well for himself. And then Eze as well, who I know Quentin had in his team because he was telling me about it while we were in an Uber, and I was thinking it's a good pick for this week, you know. And then he pops up with that goal at the end to give Crystal Palace the win. So I think those two are some good alternatives. Eze, obviously, a great alternative to Zaha, and then Billing. If you need a cheap midfielder in your team and you want to just go with someone like Philip Billing, I think it's a pretty safe bet to go with at the minute while his fixtures are good and he is on good form. So I think he is one that you could look at picking up to add to your team.
On that note, with Billing, it was obviously FPL Social with FPL Eyes, Steve. He obviously picked that one out, didn't he?
He did.
He called it social. He was thinking about it, and Ollie dismissed it, I think, at the time.
That was when he knew that he had to do it. Was when Ollie
said no. He was like, right, this guy's not backed it. I'm going against him and doing it. And then when we were in the pub at Cheers Bar at 1 a.m. About half when it went in, he was celebrating around the room. His class, so good. Billing, unbelievable.
Danish Harry Winks.
Harry Winks
did the business. So well done, Steve.
Yeah, brilliant pick. When you bring in Philip Billing in and he returns for you, you can only have the utmost respect for that FPL manager. Boys, we're going to move on. Before we get into our transfers and captains, I've just got to say, if you haven't already downloaded it, you've got to get onto downloading the APL Live app now. We're now using it, and they are our partner, and our preferred Premier League app to go to for any news, any single thing that you're hearing about. EPL Live will have an article on it, and you can find all of our content on there as well. It combines lightning fast scores with the most in-depth team and player stats, along all of breaking football news, videos, and highlights. And you can get exclusive articles by our very own FPL Addicts panel as well. And the link is in the description down below to download it. If you haven't already, what you're doing, it gives you the upper edge over so many players to have an app like EPL Live, and they are absolutely brilliant. So get on it as soon as possible. Boys, we're going to talk about our teams now then, our transfers and our strategies for this week. And then the much anticipated Captain's Corner will be up as the final segment on the podcast after that. So do stay strapped in, do stay watching, because you're not going to want to miss CC with Chaz.
Keep your hazards on.
Absolutely. We're going to go to you first, Ollie. What are your plans for this week? I'm going to bring your team up on screen. Fingers crossed it's not going to be as gross as last week for you.
This might be a painful week, this one, but I am rolling. It sounds bizarre after a 36-point week to say that I'm rolling, but I think one more week of absolutely horrible pain might help set me up. I've, again, gone with the back three. Martinelli is back on for me, which will be good. Leeds away. I don't think there's a much better fixture. At the moment, my armband is on Harry Kane. I know we've talked a lot about Harry Kane, but I've finally moved the armband off Haaland. I think Everton at home is about as good a fixture as you can get. Now that I put the armband on him, he's going to blank for the first time since game week 1. But I actually do like my team. It's annoying that I've got the clash between Newcastle and Manchester United in there because Dalot against Trippier. I think I might have just to bite the bullet with Trippier there. I think Manchester United will win that game and maybe grab a clean sheet. Even if, Newcastle have been decent. They might not grab a clean sheet. I reckon the legend maybe. Hopefully Dalot can get an assist forward of the ball.
That's all right. If that's what you're predicting, then the exact opposite's going to happen. So I do not mind it at all, Ollie. Keep talking all the smack you want.
Again, look, there's a couple of clashes in there, but look, I've got to go with this team. I want to make 2 transfers for game week 12. So I'm just going to roll over and see what happens.
Fair enough. And Quentin's asked, and I'll give you this one, Ollie. What's your thoughts on Son this week?
Good fixture, like his fixture. Everton at home again. I think Everton, it may be a team you can target for this season, or for the next few weeks at least. Obviously, he's a top player. We know how good he is, and if Son and Kane can get firing, and you've got both of them, then I guess you're living the life of Riley.
Certainly are. And Ollie, another just important point to bring up is that Dalot is on 4 yellows as well.
Oh, how amazing is that? Thank you, James, for your wonderful insight. That's awesome. Love that. He's going to get booked this weekend, didn't he? But no, I do appreciate the heads up. I didn't realise
These people try to help you, Ollie. They're trying to help you.
I genuinely appreciate it. The reaction is more of one, oh no, it's happened to me again, rather than any disdain at James. It's not that at all. I'm very
St.
thankful
Max against Dalot.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the head. Oh, yeah, I know. He'll run him ragged. We'll set Maximan and get him booked. But I'm thankful for the heads up. I'm just thinking, oh my days, it's something else I've got to deal with. But again, I'm very thankful for the heads up, James.
As long as Dallo don't get booked in the first 90 seconds, you'll be all right, mate.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that we're getting kept abreast of these yellows. By the way, who was it before that put up the 4 yellows? I'm glad you're keeping up to date with it because I'm certainly not. Not in the Premier League anyway.
This is good timing. Go on,
good from Steve here, Ollie.
Stephen looks all right. All you're missing is Billing. He has been considered Billing recently. I just wanted to get that one in. Cheers. But no, it's missing a lot of things, mate. I hope that everyone can realise that no one's naive enough to realise that it's not just Billing that I'm missing. It's everybody else.
I think it is, mate. But your team for this week isn't looking awful. But for your sake,
can I just quickly ask, Ollie? Do you reckon Salah's going to haul against City?
No, I don't.
Ollie's on 4 yellows.
I don't know if he'll haul.
Basically, Ollie's going to be missing for the next pod. If he gets another yellow.
Right, you know what? If I get under the average this week, here you go, or Spike. If I get under the average this week, I will take a 1 podcast suspension.
Brilliant.
Get in. Love it. Brilliant. Brilliant. Cheers on Spike for the you get the assist points there if Ollie isn't here next week.
Brilliant.
Anyway, your team's looking decent for next week, Ollie. Obviously, shocking game week incoming for you probably. So we'll just to see how it goes for you. Jack, we'll move on to your team. Before you get into discussing that, we do have another question from PSB. Who do you think is the best Trent Alexander-Arnold replacement, Jack?
Well, if you haven't got Trips already, Trips has got to come in surely. And listen, I brought Cresswell in for Trent. So, he's performed over the seasons. The fixture run isn't the worst, apart from obviously they are playing Liverpool, they're playing United. Listen, they're not in great form, are they? United are looking better. Liverpool are a bit chaotic. So, I like Cresswell in there. James would have been obviously great, but with this injury hanging over him, maybe when he comes back. But Trips is probably the one for everyone, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. So just walk us through your team for this week, Jack. It's not looking too bad, is it? Yeah,
listen, I'm pretty happy on paper and the setup with it. Obviously, I brought Bowen in and Cresswell last week. Team's looking all right. Andreas on the bench against Bournemouth. If James doesn't play, I'm just going to probably roll over this week. I am looking at Eze as well and doubling up with this Crystal Palace midfield. So it could be a last-minute transfer. He obviously didn't pay off for me last season when I brought him in for a couple of games, if you remember. But he's still looking quite good in this team now with Palace, and so I'm liking the team. 4-3-3 set up quite nicely, looks good. I'm probably going to stick with Haaland. If I've gone too early on the captains there, apologies, but I'm probably going to stick with him because I think this Liverpool defense is a disaster. But it could go well, and it could also go horrendous. So hopefully not.
Fingers crossed. And I think Haaland, was he your captain? He wasn't your captain, was he, Ollie? It was Kane, you said, wasn't it, for this week?
Yeah, it's on Kane for now, subject to change.
Yeah, fair enough. We obviously can tamper with our teams up until the deadline, but I think Haaland or Kane are both very good shouts this week. Shock that two of the best players in the league this season are probably the way that you should go. But Chaz, we'll move on to your team now to see what is happening over at Balls of Steel FC. So take us through your team, mate. It's looking very aesthetic on the left.
Look, yes, please finish your sentence. I'm very deflated right now because it seems this is not FPL relevant. I think Ollie might be aware of this, but I think St Kilda are getting rid of their coach as we speak about 5 minutes ago.
Nice.
You two go and make another podcast and we'll speak to you in a bit.
I hate it. I'm so deflated right now. It's just one of the worst run organisations of all time. But can I tell you what is not a terribly run organisation at the moment? And that is my fantasy team. So let's get straight into it. So this is the side. This is the XI. Patterson on a red, Mitrovic with a yellow, James with a yellow. It's like Oprah giving out, you get a flag, you get a flag. Some more flags in the fantasy side than you do at your local beach. But so I've come to calculations. There are over 150 different types of rolls in society. So I'm going to mention my top 5, and that's bread rolls, rice paper rolls, chicken shawarma rolls, camera roll, bread roll, and my favourite one, transfer role, and that's exactly what I'm going to do this week. Thanks for coming.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Where did we find this guy?
I was just about to say the same thing, Reedy.
Whose fault was it, Jack? Was it...
Don't know where you go from here. I'm trying to think of roles myself now.
I was going to say we need to get like a rolls tier list stream with just Chaz where he can express his love for bread rolls and spring rolls.
Get the comments down. If anyone wants to get the comments down and gives you best roll, that'll be
please. Yeah, I want the comments in the best roll of all time. Sausage rolls. Sorry, that was a honourable mention too.
I think SideNet bought 3 spring rolls for $18 at the game on Saturday.
Oh yeah, I was with him because I got a mega range.
You got me correct.
Did you duck at the game as well, by any chance?
Yeah, I did. Ready. Yeah.
Oh god.
Crazy. Anyway, Chaz, thanks for your top roles and your team this week. It's looking like a good one. Salad roll is a good one with Stephen. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Look, we'll talk more roles later, but I'll just be very quick. I think it's important to have 2 free transfers heading into game week 12 because there's 3 city assets, there's Jesus, and there's flags everywhere. So at worst, if James is still out, which from what I heard just before, he still may be, and Mitrovic, you're going to have 6 players who are in trouble or won't play at all. It may be worth you taking the negative 4 and just taking the 3 transfers, and with the other 3, you could bench them and still field an XI. That's my thinking. Thank you so much to TED Talk.
Fair enough, Chaz. Reedy, we'll move on to your team now and how it's looking for this week to take us through yours.
Yeah, just partial to a cinnamon roll before we move on. To my team. So, yeah, it's set up nicely, I suppose, but I mean, this isn't the final team. This is how it currently looks. I've got two free transfers there that I'm going to make. Shall I say them now, or yeah, might as well. Just, De Bruyne is coming out, and Diaz is coming out. Obviously, I need to make some room for game week 12, not having 6 players from City and Arsenal combined. So, Jared Bowen will probably be there instead of De Bruyne. I've not decided on my defender yet. I was looking at Veltman from Brighton, Castagna from Leicester, depending if he's fit. Apparently, he's only got one eye at the moment, so I don't know how that's sort of developing. Captain at the moment is on Jesus. You can probably see that there. But yeah, I mean, I've got these 2 injuries knocking about, Trent and Patterson. But I've still got Andreas there to come off the bench if needs be. Yeah, that's the team for this week.
It's looking strong, Reedy. It's looking strong for this week. And obviously, as you said, you've got those 2 free transfers. So you are probably going to have to make some changes with your team. We'll move on to mine.
Sorry, is McAllister, do you not think Andreas is better than McAllister to start? Is that not a decent shout for you? Or not?
I don't know. I like Brighton. That's the thing.
Everyone likes Brighton. Brighton are a nice team.
The only other thing I was going to do this week, was potentially bench Tony, but there's no point in doing that because Tony gets penalties. So, and I've got Sanchez on the bench there. So if I wasn't going to start Tony, I'd obviously take him out and I'd play Sanchez because I've got the double Newcastle who are against United this week. So I don't know. I prefer double Newcastle defence over Sanchez and Tony bench, I think. What do you think, boys?
I probably agree, yeah.
Yeah, of course you would, Elliot, because you're a Newcastle fan, mate. Jack might disagree because he's a United fan. So I suppose if we go with Chazza and Ollie, what would you do? Double Newcastle defence?
Chazza.
Yeah, why are you asking me for my advice?
Yeah, sorry, Ollie. Never mind.
So we can do the opposite, mate.
Are you still here?
Yeah, Chazza, go on. Give us some
I'm
wisdom.
sorry, Reedy. I'll have to skip this conversation only because I accidentally said an inappropriate word. So I thoroughly apologise to all the viewers out there.
Hey?
Never mind. You want my opinion? What was the question again?
The question was, do I play double Newcastle defence or do I play Robert Sanchez for Brighton and bench Tony so then I'll play Andreas as well? obviously.
Nah, double Newcastle, roll with Tony.
Yeah, so keep going with Tony. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. Fair enough, Chaz. Cheers, mate. Nice one.
Too funny. Anyway, we'll move on to my team before Captain's Corner. Rolls Royce, probably my favourite type of roll, boys. Not gonna lie, pretty nice car. I would take it.
You're a rich lad, aren't you, mate? Bloody hell!
I say that's not an item of food, Elliot. We're talking about food, mate.
The transfer roll's not an item of food, is it, Reedy? You can't eat the transfer.
Go from a spring roll to a Rolls Royce.
Just because you eat all your transfers up, mate, does it mean that everyone can eat their transfers? Oh, too funny. We're going delirious, boys. We're going delirious. Power through. Pope and Trippier, not expecting much from them going to Old Trafford. We're probably going to concede. Hope Pope can get a couple of save points under his belt. Trippier, always an attacking threat, should do well. Cancelo, again, don't know what Liverpool's going to show up on the weekend. Mitchell, they've got a nice fixture on paper. So fingers crossed he can keep a clean sheet.
When did you bring him in?
Brought him in last week, mate. So unfortunate to not get the clean sheet at the Leeds game. But yeah, fingers crossed. It was either him. I didn't realise Grahey was so cheap. He's like 0.2 million cheaper than him. He's like 4.3 million this year. So
that's
one of the few Ollie wins. Yeah.
Ever.
Maybe that's what I'm missing this year. I need to get the man, the myth, the legend back in my team.
Well, great fixtures at the minute, mate. So there's no better time to get him in. And then midfield's looking pretty strong for me this week. Bowen, Martinelli, and Maddison with great fixtures, and De Bruyne with a lot of potential, and Tony, Haaland. And if Mitrovic doesn't play, I will consider moving off of him. As I said before, the potential transfer that I might make would be De Bruyne and Mitrovic out for Kane, and then probably Zaha. But I'm still not sold on that yet. It'll probably take me right up to the deadline, but the armband is going to be on Erling Haaland for me. Speaking of armbands, we're going to get on to the Captain's Corner segment now. So, Chaz, the F1's on, I think, boys. It is your time, Chaz. Bit of CC with Chaz. So take it away, mate.
What's the quote they usually go with? Lights out and away we go, Ben. So here we are with the Captain's Corner. We start off with Erling Haaland like we have done for the last few game weeks. And as I've said this for the last couple of weeks, there's not much I need to say about this man. In each of his first 9 game weeks, he's managed to return in every game. And in his last 7 games in a row, he's managed to score a goal or more. He achieved a record-breaking effective ownership of 201% against Southampton, and his 7.1 million managers were rewarded with a goal against the Saints. Despite the Anfield factor, Liverpool, surprisingly, I'm not sure if this is by the bonus bank people, but according to other stats, they have an equal lowest chance of keeping a clean sheet this weekend against City, and it just shows how prolific and ferocious Man City's attack is. And with both Robertson and Alexander-Arnold not expected to start, there you have it with that one. However, we did have a discussion earlier with Liverpool. They beat Rangers 7-1. And Salah's hat-trick was done in 5 seconds less than Elton's John Son being recorded Tiny Dancer. Now, that is an incredible stat, if you ask me. Now, due credit goes to Duncan Alexander off Twitter. Second, the most disrespected individual in the game, Harry Kane. We'll go to him. If it wasn't for Haaland, he would be top for expected goals. He's already on 6.72 and top for XGI with 8.78. Now, overall, he does not have all that much of a pleasing record against the Toffees compared to the other oppositions, for example, Leicester and Arsenal. But he has returned in each of the last 5 games against the Merseyside Blues, and that has consisted of 5 goals and 3 assists. However, we must consider Everton's defensive campaign has been relatively difficult to break down. This is due to how solid they have been. Geez, I'm really losing my notes sometimes. They have only conceded 9 in their first 9, and this is also equal to Newcastle, Brighton, and Man City. They've all conceded 9, and that is equal top for best defense in the league at the moment. Now, the third one, when I got this announced and had to be asked to do some research for, I thought it was a very boozy one. But here we are. Cristiano Ronaldo for Manchester United. Who would have thought? The 37-year-old Portuguese gets a feature in the captain's segment, and he managed his first attacking return for the season against the Toffees away from home, coming on as a 29th minute substitution for Anthony Martial. And with that goal, he did prove as a landmark, scoring his 700th club career goal. And according to the stats for who I do this research for, he's ranked inside the top 5 for players most likely to score a goal in this coming game week. And in the corresponding fixture last season, United would have been Newcastle 4-1, bagging the brace on his homecoming day. Now, I think they're playing Newcastle this weekend. I'm pretty sure. But we do know Newcastle are far more difficult to break down this season. If it wasn't for a Carvajal shoulder tap-in the 98th minute, Newcastle would be one of the 2 unbeaten sides so far this campaign, along with Manchester City. Now, if you want to be adventurous, like you're playing Club Penguin or Jackpack Joyrider, let me present to you the Arsenal duo in Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Now, the duo have certainly hit form recently, especially the latter. Bukayo Saka registered a brace last week against Liverpool on Sunday, and this is added to his tally from the last 6 game weeks with 3 goals and 3 assists. And in addition, Martinelli registered a goal and assist against the Reds, and this has made him the highest fantasy Arsenal scoring player to date this campaign. And with Martinelli's dazzling start to the season, it's unsurprising he's already rose 500,000. The only other players that have had bigger price hikes is Kieran Trippier and Dimitri Wiper. In addition, both Martinelli and Saka sit inside the top 10 for most points scored in the last 6 game weeks. Saka ranked 4th with 38 and the Brazilian being 9th with 31. And in last season's corresponding fixture, now let's not forget, game week 18, last season only had 4 fixtures. This was one of them. Leeds Arsenal at Ellen Road. Martinelli scored a brace. Saka scored 1-2. After their game week 12 blank, 4 of Arsenal's next 5 fixtures are rated as a 2 in the fixture difficulty ranking. And this does cement a fair point, or maybe it might even be worth holding on to these assets, even for their upcoming blank. That is it, and good night, America.
If we're in America, then good work to us and good work to you, Chaz, as well. Another brilliant Captain's Corner segment. That is going to do it for the podcast today, boys. It's been a ride. It's felt a lot longer than an hour and 20 minutes because, time flies when you're having fun. So it's been brilliant. Ollie, fingers crossed for you this game week and that you can get the help that is so needed for your team at the moment. Jack, fingers crossed you can drop a little bit in the league so we can catch up to you. Chaz, fingers crossed your Captain's Corners picks are all spot on. They always are. And the mullet can keep growing in all its glory. And then Reedy, I don't know, fingers crossed you can overtake me in the league because at the minute, it's not looking good for you, is it? So
it's me and you, doing battle at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah. We're just changing positions every time. We're leapfrogging each other. So yeah, you're my competition this season, not Ollie.
Let's go.
Can't wait to see these hits. How many last minute hits is Reedy going to take? That's what I'm looking for now. It's just going to be
keep an eye out on
-8 4 transfers. Go on, lad. Go on.
Keep an eye out on all of the socials because Reedy is going to be taking some hits this week. I can feel it. He's got 2 free transfers, but I feel like he's maybe a cheeky -4. Maybe we can persuade him into a -8, boys. We'll see what we can do. But thank you all for tuning in today. It's been brilliant. And again, thank you to everyone who attended the FPL Social. It was just an awesome weekend. I can't believe it's nearly been a week, which is just absolutely crazy. We raised the roof. Lloyd Owusu would be proud. May all your FPL dreams come true and take care, stay safe, and best of luck in the upcoming game week. See you soon.